welcome to another episode of Walking Movies. I'm Nick, and as you can see, I'm walking to the movies. So, what am I seeing today? As I may have alluded to previously, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 day. I've got my Marvel bandana on and a t-shirt. Yeah, I know I'm one of them losers. But I'm a little bit nervous, if I'm completely honest, about this, because Marvel film. I've been a big Marvel fan since Iron Man came out. I mean, I was a big Marvel fan when I was a kid growing up, but I mean, in terms of films, and you know, I really enjoyed Iron Man and the films that came, and Guardians was one that, at a time it started to feel a little bit stale, it rejuvenated it again. And the first Guardians was such a great but different Marvel film, and it kind of changed how the tone of Marvel films would go on from there. And then Guardians Volume 2 came out, and it was a bit of a disappointment, in my opinion. And we've seen them in, you know, other Marvel films. They've crossed over, and you know, this is the third film in the trilogy. This is going to be apparently the last time that we see the Guardians of the Galaxy in a film, and yeah, I just don't know where it's going to go. And that's kind of my concern, really. Is I'm just worried as to if it's going to be good or not. And you know, I really want it to be good, and I think that adds to my kind of concern somewhat. And if it's bad, how bad is it going to be? And Marvel films right now, you know, they've been on a pretty bad run. I've still enjoyed most of them, but they've definitely lost their shine that they had. So is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 going to be the one to put the goodness back into Marvel, and also, more importantly, end the trilogy on a high? Let's hope so. But I will let you know my thoughts after I've seen the film. So I will speak to you again after I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay, so my initial thoughts of walking out of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is that it's a worthy end to the trilogy, and I very much enjoyed it. But I need to talk about stuff, and it's just come out. It's like it was literally the first screening of the day, so I am going to record my actual review when I get home, because I don't want anyone to hear what I want to say. It's not what I really want to do with this, but I feel it's the right thing to do. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There won't be heavy spoilers or anything like that, but I will be talking about plot. So I'll see you when I get home. Right, so it's time to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I mentioned when I first came out my reactions to it and how much I enjoyed it. I've had a little bit of time to think about that, and that opinion hasn't changed. It's probably the best Marvel film I've seen since Endgame. I've enjoyed some of them, especially the Spider-Man films, but with the recent output that we've had, I like Black Panther 2, but you know, things like Thor, Love and Thunder, and Ant-Man Quantumania just weren't on the same level as this film was for me. And yeah, it reminded me of just how much fun Marvel films can be. But that doesn't, like, I'm not saying it was a real fun film, because it's not completely fun. There's quite a dark side to it. I mean, I'm not going to talk about spoilers. I'm not going to go into real spoiler territory. But one thing I would say, if you're an animal lover, it's a bit of a hard watch. If you've seen the trailers, you know that the film lets us have a look at how Rocket came to be who he is. And there's quite a lot of the film focused on his background and his journey to becoming the Rocket that we know and love. And yeah, some of that is, if you're an animal lover or a pet fan, can be a bit tough. So I would say that, because I wasn't expecting that when I went to see this film. But yeah, so there's that. The cast, it's a returning cast from nearly everyone from Volume 2. The new additions, Chuck Iwuji, I hope I've said that right, or even close to getting it right, is the High Evolutionary. He's the villain of the film. He is one of the darkest villains we've seen in a Marvel film. Up there, definitely with a Thanos level of fear and cruelty. He's an interesting character though, because of how he views his work and what he thinks he's doing, and I don't think there's going to be many people that agree with his viewpoint, but at least he's got his reasons. But he's great. I can remember what I'd seen him in before, the actor, and then I remembered he was in season 1 of Peacemaker, which, if you haven't seen that, go and see that. It's a good comic book based show. We've also got Will Poulter in this film as Adam Warlock. We saw Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians Volume 2. Well, didn't see him necessarily, but we knew he was coming into the next film. And Will Poulter is an actor that I've liked for a long time. The first time I saw him was in a film called Son of Rambo, which not many people talk about, but I watched it again recently. Really excellent film. He's always good in kind of comedic roles, and I mean, it's an action role as well, but because of the nature of Adam Warlock and the way they've portraying this version of him, he was just excellent in the role. And Maria Bakalova, who, if you've seen the second Borat film, played Borat's daughter in that film. She plays Cosmo the Space Dog. She appeared in a Christmas special as well, and the character of Cosmo has been in the last 2 Guardians films, but now as a more main character and talking. But it was just really enjoyable. I mean, it was very hard. It's very hard to wrap up a trilogy of films, and the first Guardians film for me is still one of the best Marvel films that they've done. It just had a perfect balance of comedy and action, and music. The music played such an important part. And Volume 2, I don't know what it is. I was planning to re-watch that before seeing this one. I didn't get a chance to watch it again. I've not seen it in a few years, but I remember just walking out after seeing Volume 2 and just me and my wife both just feeling disappointed. Guardians was her favourite Marvel film, and it just didn't hit the same notes. And so I guess it was hard coming to this film because it hadn't been as well received as the first film. People still liked it, but I think what James Gunn was possibly doing with this film was trying to recreate that magic of the first film, whilst also kind of expanding on it. And it didn't work in Volume 2, but I think it does work here. I think the balance was just right. It's got one of the best action sequences, or fight sequences that I've seen in a Marvel film as well. I mean, nothing's going to beat the big all hands on deck endgame portal fight. But in terms of like a singular Marvel film, there's a great sequence. You'll know when you see it. So I'm not even going to go into where that is in the film or what that is. What I didn't like about the film, I think because it's the last one, and the cast leading up to the film being released, and even James Gunn had said, like, as far as he was concerned, this was it for this iteration of the Guardians of the Galaxy. There might be further adventures, but it wouldn't be with these characters, or certainly this cast. They'd all been fairly outspoken, but they'd been vocal about the fact that this was going to be their final film. And I think when you watch a film like that, you're kind of a little bit on edge as to what's going to happen with these characters, especially if you like the characters. And I think they possibly played into that a little bit too much. Like, things happen and you think, oh, is that character going to die? And then they don't. Which is good, because I didn't want to. But, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there was more emphasis put on things during the film because it's the final part of the trilogy, that that the cast aren't going to be coming back for another sequel. So, I think that hampered it a little bit. It's quite long. It was how long? Exactly 150 minutes. So it's 2.5 hours. Parts of it flew by. Like, the first hour or so seemed to go really quick, and then it did seem to kind of plod a little bit in the middle. But there was a lot going on, and I think the other problem with this is when you've got an ensemble film like this, and Avengers films have had this as well, that you're trying to give everybody important things to do and their hero moment, or extra screen time, and sometimes people don't get enough still. Adam Warlock, for me, I could have done with more than what we got. He was used well, but every time he came into the film, I enjoyed that bit a lot, and I wish there was more of that. So it's a balancing act. So that's a problem with the kind of pacing of the film, I guess. But it's minor grapes even. It's enjoyable. It was fun. It's a film that I already am looking forward to seeing again, which I can't remember the last time. I wanted to say, even Black Panther 2, which I did want to go and see again, I was quite happy to wait for Disney Plus to see that again. I really might go back to see this at the cinema because I enjoyed it that much. Yeah. I think I saw it in IMAX 3D. The IMAX 3D was very good. I wanted to see it in a premium format, and I was deciding between that and 4DX. In the end, IMAX 3D won the day, and that's why I might go back. I might go and see it in 4DX because I bet it was a lot of fun in 4DX. But yeah, so should you go and see the cinema? Yeah, don't wait for Disney Plus. What's been quite good is they seem to have changed the release date windows on Disney Plus. So it used to be that 60 days or so after the film came out at the cinema, it was going to be on Disney Plus. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania isn't coming out to the 17th of May, which is about 12 weeks after it debuted at the cinema, roughly. So like 3 months. So those windows are starting to extend again. And I think this is going to be a bigger hit than Ant-Man and the Wasp. So it'll probably delay the release longer. If you're not that bothered about the Guardians films, then this probably isn't going to change your mind. But if you are thinking, well, I'll just I'll wait a few weeks to see it on Disney Plus. No, go and see it at the cinema. It deserves to be seen on a big screen. I saw literally the biggest screen I could, and the 3D was great, and the film looked great on an IMAX screen. So, even if you just want to see it in standard 2D in a regular screen, do it. I think it deserves to be seen on a big screen, and it's enjoyable enough. That's the thing. I had fun. It was enjoyable. I already want to see it again, and it's not something I've said for Marvel films for a long time. Scores. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I delayed. I was chickening out. Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I think it was really, really good. Really good fun. The action was good. The story was engaging. It was great to finally learn more about Rocket, because he was a character we knew the least about, and has, James Gunn put together a really great, storyline for him, so that we know who he is and where he came from. Chris Pratt was good. Everyone was good. Dave Bautista's always good. I think this is possibly his best turn as Drax in the films. I thought he did a really good job in this one. But yeah, and also Zoe Saldana, because obviously Gamora, as we learned from the last Avengers films, she died in one, and in a prior version of herself went to the future. So she's playing Gamora, but not Gamora as we've seen her in the previous two Guardians films. So yeah, but no, everyone was good. No bad roles. I would say that the music in this is not as good as Volume 1 by a long shot, and on a par with Volume 2. And maybe that was one of the issues I had with Volume 2 as well, is the fact that the music wasn't... The soundtrack they put together wasn't as interesting, I thought, as Volume 1. But either way, so glad I got to see it early, before the buzz started happening. Because I went in without seeing any reviews or hearing any opinions on it, and whether it was good or bad, which I think might have tainted my view a little bit if I had heard really good things or really bad things. So yeah, go and see it early. It's just a fun time, and it's been a long time since I felt that coming out of the Marvel film, but I did here. So go and see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And that's it for me for now. Thank you for listening or watching, however you're viewing this, now that it's a video podcast as well as audio. And I'll see you for the next film, which might be Fast X. I mean, I'm definitely going to go and see Fast X, but I'm not sure I'm going to see anything beforehand. So, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast feed, and as soon as new episodes come out, you'll know about them. But thank you, and until next time, just remember that Flynn lives.